Personally, I do believe the Hive is overhated.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people are coming at them and ascribing them things they're not responsible for or they not do. And I think it's time we all step back and say, you know what, the Hive's all right.
Oh, really?
Are you speaking
Yeah.
French?
Just tell them how you really feel, Bate.
Would it really be that bad to be unified for everyone on the planet when you really think about it?
Okay,
Yeah,
Renee.
no, that sounds pretty trash. I'm not gonna lie to you.
How
That
about
sounds,
free will?
yeah,
I mean,
sounds like the
we
worst
we
existence
think
of all
we
time.
think it's a good idea. We do believe it's a good
That's-
idea, and
I
we'd
see
like
what
to
you
get
did
you on
there.
board.
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome to our the Peak of Fiction podcast, the podcast where we talk about peak fiction, be that a television show, comics, movies, anime, manga, and more. And this week we are talking about Pluribus. It took a little bit longer to get to this episode, but we are here. And Pluribus is a 9-episode television show directed show run by Vince Gilligan. It has a few different directors for each episode, starring Rhea Seahorn and Carolina Wydra. And so far, just going off what I've seen, we have not really had a big discussion yet. I think Pluribus is pretty good. But I'll see. What's everyone else's initial reaction to Pluribus?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the show. Like the the mystery of the hive and how it works. Along with like we're gonna get more into it, but the just how they operate and how they interact with Carol and the rest of the immune and like everyone's kind of relation to them. And it's a real like individual versus the entire world
Yeah.
type story.
In multiple ways.
Yeah. But yeah, I really messed with this. This was a really good start to the season, and I can't wait to see more.
No, definitely. I definitely like the show. A very odd situation to be in, and it's so I thought it was going to be the opposite, that our main character is not going to be the most interesting, but she is the most interesting character in a situation where a lot of people can ethically think about how they would deal with it and how relatable it is she. And this was like a very new thing from Vince Gilligan that obviously we haven't seen before. So I was very interested in. I definitely liked this show.
Man, I have so many thoughts on Pluribus. I'm excited to share them. But overall, I was asked to share kind of my general feelings on it, and I will say it is quite good. I I will say that Vince Gilligan's previous effort, Breaking Bad, was exceptional, as some may describe. But I like the show a lot. It's very different. It's not trying to do quite literally any of the same things. I think the only possible tie-in a person could make between Breaking Bad and the story is that it's of a high quality story with really well thought out characters. But
And the actress. Well, not to Breaking Bad, to Better Call Saul.
Yep.
yes. That and the location, right? It's very West Coast
Albuquerque.
centric. Very Albuquerque. Like it's like, oh yeah, this all looks very familiar. Color grading is fairly similar for a lot of reasons in that same vein as well. But overall, really good show, and we're excited to chat about it today.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the main, I guess, the summary and crux of the material, give a little background on one Vince Gilligan, because I know a lot of people who know him from Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul will feel that Pluribus is a little bit out of his normal wheelhouse. But I know Mr. Gilligan from X-Files, and this is very much in his wheelhouse, right? It's almost like a taking an X-Files episode and concept and stretching it out to make its own series. And Scully and Mulder aren't coming in to wrap it up in 40 minutes. So I really do like, you know, when he works. I mean, you can definitely feel like that his knowledge and love of science fiction coming through in Pluribus, and how he like reincorporates, you know, a lot of his old material into something new without it being like too what's the word, like too cheesy or too cute, you know. But he's able to take these, like you said, Albuquerque, New Mexico. He's able to take these the actresses and actors he like working with before, and he really makes something like great out of it. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. But in order to get into Pluribus and to understand, we're going to do a quick breakdown, a summary of the season of television, episodes 1 through 9. So I guess if you have somehow stumbled on this episode and have not watched Pluribus, well, this is your chance to go out and watch it. But keep the video running, okay? Mute it and keep it running so we get the watch time. This is very important, very crucial. But then watch Pluribus.
In fact, loop the video, loop the
video. Yes, yeah. That'll be the best. That'll be the best. Share it with your friends, and yeah. Also, if you like to see more, you know, like, subscribe, or follow on Spotify, all that jazz. But now we're gonna get into the description, and to do this, we have Gray, since he has seen it the most recent and has the freshest of memories of these television show. Take it away.
All right. So the series starts off with some astronomers kind of detecting like a radio signal from space, and they realize that it spills out an RNA sequence, right? So they then try to reproduce that sequence in a laboratory, and then in that laboratory, they have basically tried it with like mice. The mouse bites one of the scientists, which then creates a chain reaction where those infected try to infect others. And initially, we don't really understand why, but what they're doing is they seem to be kissing other people. And as they kiss these other people or bite other people, in case of the rat, they are spreading this virus, and as more people get infected, they infect more. And then we jump to a scene of a novelist, Carol Sturka.
I will say.
Yes, please. You have something to share before I keep going. Sure.
This opening sequence is fantastic. Okay, and it works like on that horror, you know, kind of suspense element, as I think it's a research laboratory, as it's the infection spreading, you know, and they're just grabbing people and kissing them, or you have that bit where the lady's like licking like all the donuts,
yeah,
like anything, but also it's also extremely methodical, right? It's extremely methodical, not necessarily violent, but everyone's very precise. And it's like, as soon as you're joined, you kind of already know what to do from there. And you immediately like hop on the wagon to be like, all right, well, I have to join the next person and the next person and the next person. And that part of it is like, I think it's very well done.
Yeah. Also, in line with that statement, they're not talking at all. They're just straight up infecting. They seem to kind of know what to do and what to say without speaking. As we can see in the laboratory, they begin to go through a certain process in order to infect more people, but they do it silently. They kind of silently walk into a room, silently start handling tasks. And that's our first exposure to whatever this virus thing is, right? So then we shift locations, and we meet a novelist named Carol Sturka, who is on a book tour with her manager and her partner Helen. And we get to learn a little bit about Carol in this scene. She's the author of a book called Wakaro, and she is there's a fan club of people that are excited to talk to her, excited to connect with her. But she is not thrilled. She is not thrilled to connect with them or anyone. She seems to have like a overly pessimistic attitude about everything and everyone, right? And Helen is constantly trying to like help her to see a different perspective and look at things at a different lens, but Carol is essentially stuck in her ways, right? Now, Helen and Carol go to a bar for a drink after the tour, and there is a plane above dispersing like an aerosol. And what ends up happening is everyone around Carol, right? The people in the bar, the people outside the bar, they go up to look at some information about how the fan club is going. They all start to convulse. Carol realizes that Helen is in danger, and so she rushes to get Helen to a hospital. As she's going through the city, she's seeing that the entire city is full of people convulsing, and there's just like destruction everywhere, right? It's Susan say chaos. When she gets into the hospital, everyone in the hospital is infected, and it's alarming for her because they have a moment where they speak to her by name, right? Like they call her by name, and she's never met any of these people. She freaks out.
Yeah, because like there's that moment where everyone's like convulsing, and then it just stops.
Yeah.
Right? It's like everyone's in this situation, and then it just stops, and everyone gets back up, and it's like, oh, everything's good. Like, instantly.
Which is deeply unsettling as a viewer, because you're like, you still don't understand what's happening, right?
Yeah.
The shaking, the convulsing, you're like, huh? And in this moment, it's the first time that we see anyone that's been infected talk. So this is our first indicator of like what actually has happened here. Not long after that moment, Helen unfortunately passes. And Carol is deeply unsettled by what's taking place. So she then brings Helen back to her home. And this is an interesting scene. She tries to get back into her home, and where are my keys? And then two children that are neighbors come out, and they tell Carol where she put her spare key. And so this scene is deeply unsettling for Carol and kind of for us as the viewer, because we're like, wait, huh? How do they even, like, what's going on right now? They know something that they should not know, technically, right? At that stage, Carol goes into her home, still freaked out because this is wild. She turns on TV, and there's a guy in the White House in a press room, and on screen, please call us, Carol, at this number. Huh? So she calls the number. Like, oh, thanks for calling, Carol. And then the man on screen kind of explains what's going on, right? He gives her the breakdown that there's a virus that's transformed humanity into a permanently happy, permanently peaceful hive mind. He also shares with her how many people. Oh, you were gonna share something, Supa?
Yeah, I was gonna just say, like, yeah, it's wild how fast this virus spread throughout the world. Because initially, when it happened, because when I was first watching it, right, when it happened in the bar, I'm like, okay, this is the start of it. This is gonna be the start of it. But obviously, it's gonna like go across the episode. Maybe more and more people get affected. But no, it's like everyone is like everyone, like the guy in the truck, people in the bar, he goes to the hospital, everyone in that joint has been infected. It's just like, oh, is there no one up?
Yeah.
And when it gets to the point where it's like not the president, but what was it, like the right
he's
hand?
Like, yeah, he's some like secretary of like interior or whatever.
Yeah.
Then they just put on stage. She'd be like, yep.
Yeah.
Like we think this like authority figure would work.
This looks right.
Yeah. It's just like
it's basically literally like a this looks right moment.
There's it's just like, it's just wild. It's just wild, especially seeing Carol being the only one immune. I just kind of picture myself like, what, like literally 1 second everything was fine, and next like 7 billion
it's
people
all,
are
yeah.
gone.
Yeah. It's all gone.
Yeah.
And I think there's a part where the guy was like, well, we tried we try to do it a little more subtly, right? but like, because I think he also says in the line, if like the president isn't around or whatever, like whoever is in charge is not alive anymore, and they don't really elaborate on that
they don't say
much. But he's like, like we tried to do it like non-violently, and work our way through. But the U.S. government caught wind, so we had to speed it up. And I am curious what that process was. Right now, of course, according to them, they don't engage in violence. Right. So I do wonder at what point in what happened.
There's a lot of things that they choose not to share. I think that they choose not to say.
Maybe that kissing just went too long. That you know how they started like kissing just all the people just to contact each other. Maybe it just got to someone who was really like homophobic or something, and just got really like irritated. Just immediately.
What it could be is like, for example, like let's say they're trying to like fly the president like out, like they know like, oh, this is happening, like, Mr. President, sir, we have to get you out, right? And then like one of the plurbs like just jumps in and like kisses, like, I don't know, the pilot, right, while they're flying, and the pilot has like a seizure and crashes the plane, which I think given their protocols would not be against against their principles.
I don't think they have the mental wherewithal to not kiss someone and wait for them to land the plane first. Like, that was never going to happen. They're just like, infect everyone. Like, they just don't have the...
No, because
it's very interesting how they operate.
They still value like the safety of like the uninitiated.
Not in the first stage.
I mean, they are.
In the first stage, they lacked any common sense.
Because in the first stage, like, what they say, like, almost like 1 billion people die. So
and
it was an accident. Like, we can assume that they weren't like trying to kill.
Yeah.
But I think in line with what Bates shared, it's likely that they just didn't have the wherewithal of deciding, like, I'm not going to infect you yet. I'm going to wait until like we're safe. Then I'll infect you. Like, I think they were just like, ooh, kiss. Like, you're not infected, you're going to get infected. Like, here we go.
Yeah.
Which was wild, right? So Carol finds out during this press conference where she's on the phone with this guy at the White House on screen, right? And private broadcast. That both her and 11 others seem to be immune to whatever's going on right now. And that they will do whatever she asks to make her happy. But also that their objective is to help her figure out what's wrong with her. What's wrong with me? What do you mean? He said, so you can join us. Come on, Carol. We want you to become one of us. You'll love this. This is great. So this is our introduction to Pluribus, right? First episode, we get the context of this giant hive mind that have accidentally murdered an enormous number of people, but are extremely peaceful and extremely happy, have this desire to share their joy and to share their happiness and to make other people around them as happy as possible, right? That's our premise of the series. Quite the first episode. In the second episode, Carol meets a character by the name of Zosha. And the opening scene of the second episode is kind of Zosha getting prepped for this meeting with Carol. She's travels from a faraway land. She's on a giant plane. She's flying the plane. She lands the plane. She gets freshened up, dolled up to look a certain way. And then she meets with Carol, right? Now this meeting is where Carol realizes, wait a minute, you look, like, wait a minute, you look really familiar. Where do I know you from? And then she goes in her house. This is a crazy scene, you know. She goes in her house. She gets the book that she's written. So one of the characters in Wakaro, like the main character, is a male main character. And for some reason, the hive mind decided we should get a person that looks like the main character. from Carol's book. That would really disarm Carol. And she'd be really happy to see the main character from her book brought to life in the way that she always wanted this main character to be brought to life. So the character from the book is a male, and it is a heterosexual relationship in the book. But Carol initially wanted the main character of her book to be a female. So that is what the hive mind decided to do for her. And the reason that the hive mind was able to discern this information, well, because as we discover in this next episode, all of the infected humans share a single consciousness, meaning that the intelligence, the information, and the memories of each person infected are collectively shared. And even though Helen passed away before we saw her behave as one of the infected, during the moment while she was infected, all of her consciousness, all of her memories, all of her thoughts were then shared with the collective mind, meaning that her partner is inside of every single person, in addition to everyone else that's been infected. Insane premise, right?
Yeah, that's why. Like everyone on Earth just has
a Google hard drive.
Yeah, it's just pretty much just a Google hard drive in their mind at all times, knowing everything about everything. It's a real like we'll get into it later, but like it's a real like
imagine if the planet put together like 7 to 8 billion minds to figure out your type, and then like send that person to you. Great. They would. I think they'd send you like SZA, and you'd like break immediately.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. You may be right, pal.
Like no, SZA, I won't do it. I won't do it.
Will you join us? What can I say? What can I say?
Hey man, listen, that's a tempting offer that you get there, hive mind. Yeah, it's wild, right? Like trying to literally, and like, it's not doing this with the intention of being disrespectful. It's not doing this with the intention of being disconcerting. It's not doing this with the intention of scaring Carol. It's actually trying to like give Carol what it thinks Carol wants, right? Carol does not like this. Not even a little bit. So Carol lashes out at Zosha. When a member of the hive mind comes into contact with someone that's sharing a lot of negative emotion towards them, directed toward them, a very sensitive group, they then go into what seems to look like a seizure, where they're like convulsing. Very similar to what we saw in the first episode when they were first being assimilated. And during that time, no one, like, they can't move, right? They're just like, so we see Zosha like shaking. After Zosha is okay, she shares that how that works. She said, "Hey, Carol, your anger affects us deeply. We are very in tune with your emotions, and when you lose your control like that, it prevents us being able to do anything. Right? It overwhelms us." So Carol decides that she wants to meet the people who can speak English, that are also unaffected by the hive mind. Right? There are 12 survivors at this point in the story, and 6 of them speak English. So
I think that this is one of the most like one of the early mistakes Carol makes. Early mistakes, because Carol is abrasive. Right now, you can say that is good or bad or whatever. I'm not going to be like woman abrasive. I can't take it.
Women be shopping.
She do be shopping, but we'll get to that episode. But she is intentionally like she's rude. She's very short. Now, given her circumstances, right, she feels like she's the only normal person, right? And she's like, and she's basically yelling at everybody, like, how come no one else is on my page? But she does not know how to control herself. She does not know how to approach people in a way that will make them agreeable. and instead she like jumps up and she's like, "Yep, this and that," and she's also right very clearly a white woman, and I think we will get into the white woman of it all, but and part of that, and as a white American woman, and probably a liberal, she does not believe. I don't think Carol believes anything she's doing is like racist or offensive, right? She doesn't believe this, but she does do some wild stuff throughout the course of the series. Like she does a bunch of like microaggressions like constantly, but she doesn't like register them. And one of them is being like, "Oh, who are the people who are like whatever? Okay, only the English ones." And now part of that is because she doesn't trust the translation from the Pluribus people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're basically telling the because what, it's like six people.
The 6 other
English?
people that don't speak English.
That don't, and you're basically just like giving the middle finger to the other six people, being like, yeah, whatever, yeah, you and your gobbledygook languages. The real English speakers are here to have a real conversation about the future of humanity. And it's like, I don't know, maybe some of the English speakers could translate, to the other languages. You don't know this, but and she doesn't even realize this until it's brought up later that this is
much
offensive.
Yeah.
And that's just how she also, one more thing to add before we get back into it. She's a major alcoholic.
Raging alcoholic. Yeah. It's bad. It's bad.
I mean, when is there really a problem?
She had a breathalyzer in her car.
Yeah, that wouldn't let her drive
at the start. Yeah,
I didn't even know they made cars with that. I didn't even.
They do. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they can add it to your vehicle if you have a very severe alcohol problem. Intriguing beginning to the storyline, right? Because like Beto has shared, Carol only wants to meet the people that are both immune and speak English. So, the English speakers do agree to meet Carol. And so there's a meetup that they host in Spain. There is one particular survivor. I think his name is Kumba. And he arrives on Air Force One that he has like tricked out, like has it like
I mean, you can do whatever you want, man. If
literally whatever you want, whatever makes him happy, right? So he pulls up on Air Force One, baller jet, jumbo size, women coming out the jet. It's like, come on, come on, like it's like, all right, bro, you living your life. I get you. I see what's going on. And so they have their meeting on this plane in a room. The plane's the private room of this plane does have speakers and has like a microphone set up to record, things that are shared. So Carol has all of those that are not a part of the hive mind to exit the room and to disable the recording devices in the room, right? And then she tries to talk to them about all the survivors that speak English. She tries to talk to them about the hope of fixing what's going on, right? What she discovers shocks her. It is a shocking conversation. It's also a very interesting conversation because, like Bates mentioned, she has her perspective based on her story, but every other survivor has a dramatically different perspective on what's happening, right? For example, Kumba loves the current situation. Like he is living life. He is able to have all the women he wants, lavish lifestyle, enjoy great drinks. He's living his life. Another survivor, her whole family was turned. They all survived, but she was not turned. And she actually longs to be a part of the hive mind and wants to be assimilated because she wants to experience what her family is experiencing.
Which is death.
Is it? They're alive.
Maybe. There's an argument to be made.
It's very intriguing, right? It's a very intriguing premise. death is an interesting way to look at it, but technically they are breathing, living people, and they have the memories of her family, so they can behave like her family if that would make her happy, right? This is so interesting. There's a mother present, and she and her son is the one who's turned, and along with the other people in her family, and she's like, my son is so obedient, he's so thoughtful, blah 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 blah, and Carol's just shocked. But then that woman is not happy about the fact that Carol, with that anger outburst, caused that overwhelming moment for all the members of the hive, because what she didn't realize is that every single person that was connected experienced the exact same seizure convulsion experience. And those that were in a situation where they may have been operating heavy machinery or maybe flying a plane, like we mentioned earlier, doing certain things, they had no way of controlling what they were doing, and many of them died. Actually, 886 million people died during the initial joining, and like that was the first giant tragedy. Carol killed another enormous number of people afterwards by accident, by just getting angry, right? And when the rest of the group finds out, oh, that was you were the one who triggered this. Like, that woman's like, my grandfather died because he was driving a car with some of my family members in it, and then he lost control, right? He had a seizure, the whole car had people at it, and just like death, right? And so this was shocking for Carol, because Carol thinks everyone's going to be on board with me. We're all going to work together. We're going to save the world. It's going to be great. It's going to be, and like the rest of the group, everyone else is just like, yeah, actually, no. We actually don't want any part of what you're doing right now. Because what you're doing is more harmful than good. And so
it's wild.
Pumbaa
Man.
decides, say that again?
No, it's wild, especially with that well, I forgot her name, but it was like, I want to say she's from Mumbai or
in India, Lakshmi.
Lakshmi, yeah,
Lakshmi.
yeah, that's the mother.
Yeah, she, like, on one hand, like, I get it. You got your son. You have your family for the most part. And world is peaceful, yada 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 yada, right? But on the other hand, like, that isn't your son. that is not your, like Carol said, your son knows brain surgery. Your son is a human, like, calculator. Yes, and those things that your son did not know before, and acts in a way that your son does not know before. In fact, he's only acting, he's mimicking what the original son is. And the same goes for like everyone else who's controlled. It's like, I get that Carol got off like pretty abrasive. I guess that fair point, she did like cause a lot of deaths. It was an accident, but she did cause a lot of deaths. She's gonna have to hold that. But like,
it's both her fault and not her fault.
Yeah, because he didn't know. He didn't know.
Well, even then, Carol's not the one who put everyone in the situation.
Yeah.
That was not her choice.
And it's just like,
yeah, I would agree with that rationale, right? It partially, she bears a measure of the responsibility, but not 100% of the responsibility.
Yeah, like if someone took like a group of people hostage, and like they put like a gun to their heads and said, well, if you don't do this, I will shoot one of them, right? And you mess up in some way and they shoot one of them. That's not your fault entirely, because you're not the one who put them in the situation where they all had the gun to their heads. Right?
Exactly. And the hive works and the hive works in mysterious ways. And it's just like, yo, y'all have to like I was both frustrated with how Carol was acting, but also like how frustrated with like how everyone else just kind of accepted the situation.
Yeah.
And it's just like, bruh, y'all, not one person here, not one person's like, I mean, it'd be cool if they were like the original, like, y'all are cool with this, y'all. All right, bet. Don't complain when they get your stem cells, and and I bet you now that they got that stem cell project working, they're gonna be a lot more uptight about. Oh, I don't know, dog. This is no. You said it was cool, right? You said it was cool. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Where the story's at right now, we'll get to it. The realizations of what's happening here have heavier implications than we originally thought as we were like watching the show.
I do think part of it is like well, what do you want me to do about it? Right?
Yeah.
Like honestly, like, and I guess he's like, oh yeah, everyone's gonna work together and we're gonna stop this and da. And I think you can point out rightfully, Carol as an American woman, right? As a white American woman is eager to quote unquote put things how they were, put things back how they were. That's something you can very easily say for her position. Also, she's relatively well off because of her books and whatnot. It's a very easy thing to be like, everything should go back to how it was. But if you're in a different situation, maybe you don't want things to go back to how it was, how they were, right? If you're from a war-torn land or you're from a situation, like if something's peaceful and, things are whatever, and you have this, I guess whatever control, then you're like, you know what, maybe this is not so bad. And besides Kumba or Diabate, Mr. Diabate, no one else is really abusing the system in that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone appears to just be doing their normal stuff with their families, right? Living in this weird world. And I think a lot of them are like, well, this is how things are now, and we just have to like adjust to it. And like, it's not like anyone there is a scientist or, like some sort of genius. Like, they're all kind of average people, and they're like, well, it is what it is. But in some respects, this is better for me, or for people.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I feel you. But it's just, I kind of wish we got more in depth of how their lives, how some of the immune's life were before.
I suspect season 2 will get like a whole episode dedicated to one of those people.
Yeah, yo, I'm betting that
That would be nice.
Numba,
Kumba, yeah.
but Kumba. Yeah, I'm expecting Kumba to be like, actually, I was in jail. I was about to be put on death row, and that's what the virus struck.
Oh, he's not that bad of a guy. He's not that bad of a guy.
I feel like he was just like a regular guy who's just like alone, and now that he has this opportunity to do whatever the heck he wants, probably, I don't know, probably a major pervert a little bit, because he did collect a heroin
for sure.
He likes the finer things in life, though. I like there's elements of him that we'll get to.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I guess we'll get into it. We'll get into it. I don't want to talk everything
because
right
he has an episode where we see a lot more of
Yeah.
who he is based on what his fantasies guide him to create, which is interesting. I mean, we even get a taste of it in this episode that I'm talking about right now, because after basically all the other survivors are like, yeah, nah, we want nothing to do with this woman. She is dangerous, because after she found out that their original joining killed a bunch of people, she then freaks out again and flips out on Zosha.
because she was
in
drunk
that rage,
off her mind.
that's the thing. She was intoxicated. When she gets mad again, she then murders even more people on accident, right? And they're just like, "What's wrong with you? You really cannot control your emotions. This is insane." And so the rest of the survivors leave. Kumba then shares with Carol that he's planning on going to Vegas, and he would love to have Zosha join him. She was like, "For what?" He's just like, for what? She's just like, "Oh, that's what we're doing." Okay. And so Carol originally says, "I don't care, that's fine, whatever." And then Zosha has this moment where she's all dressed up the way that he likes because Carol's agreed, and Zosha kind of looks at the plane that Carol's about to head back home on, and then Carol's like, "Yeah, nah, actually, I changed my mind. I'm actually gonna need that." So she stops the plane from departing, in order for her to be able to be reunited with Zosha. So Zosha does not leave with Kumba. Kumba instead has his other concubines for entertainment.
You may believe this act is altruistic, and that Carol has some sort of moral superiority over Mr. Diabate, but you would be incorrect.
Yeah, it's not quite correct. Yeah, it's pretty spot on analysis there, Bait. So then we get to the next episode where we actually start with a flashback. So we actually see essentially more than 7 years before what they refer to in the show the joining. Carol and Helen are at like an ice hotel. They got a beautiful view of the Northern Lights. And all of this takes place after, and this is interesting, after Carol has had her egg cells frozen. Okay. And then they're in this hotel, seeing the Northern Lights from inside the hotel. And something interesting happens here. We see a little bit more of their private personality during special moments, right? So like, Helen is talking to Carol about how awesome this is, such a nice place, and Carol cannot seem to find the light in any of it. Like everything seems to be part of her own personal sense of misery. But that scene is important for a much later point in the story, but we do get that context, right? Fast forward, Carol and Zosha now reunited for the last episode, fly back to Albuquerque. And on their way back, Carol calls one of the immune that is not a native English speaker. His name is Minusos, in order to try to get him to get on board with her big plan, right? He does not give her the time of day. And in fact, when he finally does communicate with her a bit, he curses her out, and so she calls back to curse him out back. Right? It starts with a bit of malice, but it's an interesting scene for a few reasons. One of the reasons is we start to draw parallels between this specific survivor and Carol in a way that we have not seen any of the other survivors behave. None of the other survivors seem to have the same sense of anger or frustration that Carol seems to demonstrate throughout the show, until we meet this one survivor. He seems to be on her same type of time, but that's kind of all we know at this point. The hive prepares Carol a meal. She's like, I don't want to eat what you're making. I'm gonna go grocery shopping. I like to get my own stuff. So she goes to the grocery store, and the grocery store is empty. There's nothing in it. And so she then makes a request she's like, I like to shop. I like to get my own groceries. So I want you all to restock the store for me so I can get what I want to get.
No,
so she
says something specific, and
I'll
I
let
think
you say what she said.
This is peak white moment here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're only gonna get this kind of perspective on the peak of fiction. Okay, if you want normal, you can go anywhere else. If you want the melanated perspective, you come here. Okay, I think she says like, I'm like, she says something to the effect of like, I'm an individual, or like I like to do things on my own, right? I like to get by on my own without help from other people, and that immediately triggers the sequence I think you're going to describe.
Of them helping to actually allow her to help herself, which is very funny.
Which is, that's like peak American mindset to be like, yeah, I'm an individual. I do things on my own. I don't need help from anybody else. And there's a million
I like to
people
do things independently. I think she said she's very independent.
Yeah.
Which was very,
and like every,
humorous.
all these workers, it's like and seeing it visually happen, it's like, oh yeah, that's just, but when you think about it, like even like we'll go throughout the day and be like, yeah, we're big independent men, but like there's like so many people that make everything work for us. We are not independent people. We are very much dependent on society.
Right.
Yes. And man, there comes a point in only a couple episodes where her independence is put to the test. But once again, we will get there. So, stores restocked, right? As Carol has asked. And so, she goes shopping, gets what she needs, goes back to her place, yada, yada. And so Carol then sees that, there was like a power outage, right? And she's ticked off about it. She's about many things. So she calls on the phone and says, "Hey, fix the power, and hey, is there anything else? Bring me a hand grenade." Right?
Yeah.
So Zosha shows up to Carol's house with a hand grenade, and Carol's drinking, she's knocking him back, angry, flipping out about what's going on. She grabs the hand grenade, thinking it's fake. She grabs the hand grenade from Zosha, thinking it's fake, and pulls the pin. However, it is not fake. And so Zosha then has to grab this hand grenade, like a hot hand grenade, and she throws it out the window, right? When she throws it, though, it's a grenade. Explodes faster than she may have originally. Explodes very quickly once it's been let go. The handle doesn't let go. She attempts to shield Carol with her body. So she physically throws and then covers Carol's body with her own to prevent Carol from getting hurt.
Would y'all have thought that
And she is very...
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say,
No, please.
would y'all have thought that the hand grenade was fake? Because I feel like I would have thought that they gave me a legitimate grenade. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing in my request that
About a fake grenade,
they're
right?
They're pretty committed to the bit.
Yeah.
I think though there's an element there of her assuming that they wouldn't hurt anyone, and her not having the logical progression of, but that doesn't mean that they would not give me something that would allow me to hurt someone.
She had
or that doesn't mean that they would not give me something to hurt myself, right? I like it's a, in theory, especially while heavily intoxicated, there's a logical progression there of like, they are very harmless. They wouldn't even hurt a fly. Literally would not hurt a fly. Which I haven't explained a ton because that was at the dinner scene, but I should mention that that's actually a pretty important part of the story. These people will, this collective mind will not hurt anything or take any life at all by on purpose. To the point where even like plant life, like they won't even like
kill plant,
pick fruits or collect crops, because it's all considered taking life, and so they don't do it. Like if a fruit falls, we'll collect the fruit and we'll happily eat it, as they say. Or if an animal passes away, like as quickly as possible, like we'll try to prepare that animal if it's quality meat. But like we will not take a life, and that is also an important point of the story that I'm happy that is actually really really relevant. It's about to happen soon. So it's very likely that Carol, after hearing that, was like, "Oh, you all won't take lives." But incidentally, during the joining, a lot of lives were lost. But it wasn't by design. They weren't trying to kill anyone. And Carol, by just getting angry, also is guilty of accidentally killing people, because she's triggered their reaction, right? So this grenade is very real, and she throws it out the window, and glass and shrapnel get lodged inside of Zosha, for her trying to protect Carol, right? So Zosha is taken to a hospital, and Carol, in the waiting room of the hospital, talks to a representative from the hive mind, and she's like, "Hey, like that was crazy. Y'all really would give me anything?" And they're like, "Yeah, we give you anything you wanted, Carol. And we'd warn you of the risks, because some things are a little dangerous, but like we'd give you anything you want. Like if it makes you happy, we will literally give you anything. We will not like decipher if this is good or bad to give to you." She's like, "What about an atom bomb?" they're like, why would you want an atom bomb? And she just
there's some incredible face acting that guy's doing. He's playing like, I guess he's like DHS like delivery driver, but there's some incredible DHL. But there's some incredible face acting. I'm going, like it's like him communicating with the hive, but just like as he's like weighing it out, and he's just like putting it through the mind. Yes.
Which is insane, because now we're getting to the point where it becomes clear that there are no limits to how far these people or this thing, this mind, is willing to go to make Carol happy. It doesn't even have the ability to decipher, is this dangerous for Carol enough to say, like, I will not do this. This will endanger me and other people. Like, it just doesn't have, it just is, well, if it makes you happy, I'll do it. And so that is how that episode wraps, right? So she's in the hospital. Carol realizes how dangerous this can be, potentially. And then we go on to the next episode. In the next episode, we get more time with that character that we talked to on the plane, Manusos. So he's living in a storage facility in Paraguay. He refuses to accept any help from the hive mind at all. Will not take their food, will not talk to them. He's heavily opposed to this group, right? Now, when he wants some food, instead of accepting food from what they're bringing him, because the car pulls up to his gate, it's in a storage facility, drops the food off, he looks at it, he pokes it with a stick and knocks it off. He's like, I ain't nothing that they're giving me. I don't know what that stuff got in it, right? And then he opens up the storage areas and he says, listen, like, he writes on a note. There's very interesting parts about this guy's character. He writes on a note, I will pay you back. Like, I am taking this for now, but like, when you return, I will reimburse you. And then he rummages through their things to try to find something edible, and he eats, right, in order to survive. And so that is our second time meeting this character from Paraguay, the man from Paraguay, as they sometimes call him.
And like Manusos is like he's really about that. He's about that in a way that Carol is not. He's locked in, maybe a little too locked in. That's what we'll see. Maybe a little too locked in.
You can never be too locked in.
No, he's a man on a mission, though. He's
a man on a mission. He's a man on a mission, right? And Carol is, I think, full of righteous, indignation, and she's on a mission, but she's not on a mission like Manusos. She's still using the hive, right, and using like the joint, like to do things for her. But Manusos is like, nope. But I think he's come, or she's coming from a perspective of like, well, I gotta find a way to undo this, right, and save the world. He is coming from, I think, a very moral, probably almost religious perspective of like, these people have been stolen, but they will be returned. But I morally cannot take anything from them until, that point.
They're back.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I like how you put that. He has a almost reverent approach to his style of morality of whatever I take, I must repay. Law of equivalent exchange. Shout out to the Full Metal Alchemist fans out there. He's heavy in it though. Like, he's heavy in it. Like who knows if these people will ever return? He doesn't know, but he's telling them on notes that he will reimburse them for what he's taken.
Mm-hmm.
So he's moving on a different type of time. And it was interesting because we haven't seen many characters with that kind of mentality at all. Actually, any character with that mentality in the story up to this point. He's the first of his kind.
Outside of like Carol.
I mean, Carol is willing to accept help, and she's willing to take without reimbursement. White American woman. I mean, it's a spot on analysis. It's just
we're losing our demographic, guys.
That was never our demographic. That was never our demographic.
We appeal to white women. Kill ourselves.
I have the numbers. That's not us.
Listen,
that's not us.
If you are a listener of Peak of Fiction as a white American woman, I'm not saying that you can fully relate to Carol, But there may be parts of the story that you're like, no, I would have done something similar there. And
Okay, if you are a white woman who's
All right.
subscribed to Peak of Fiction, okay, if you're listening and you subscribe and you watch like 20 episodes, we'll let you say it. Whoa! I was saying that they can say how much they love Peak of Fiction, not I know what you're
thinking. Hold your horses there, Bucko. All right. That was something, man. I wasn't expecting that. All right, so we now while he's looking through, eating the food from the lockers that he takes, because this is a flashback, he's getting calls from Carol, right? So we're going backwards in time, and now he's getting those calls. He's like getting irritated, getting up, and he's talking on the phone. He's like, wait, what's going on? Like, who is this? And then he realizes that the person on the other line is a survivor. It is not a member of the hive. And it's the first time in Manuso's experience that he's had an opportunity to talk to someone that was not infected. And it fundamentally shifts his it's like, wait a minute, what? There's a person that hasn't turned? It's shocking to him, right? Interesting element. So then we get to Carol. She's at the hospital. And so she's going back home from the hospital. And she takes out her whiteboard that she was using to kind of write down part elements of her story for Wakaro, to open up a new area of her whiteboard to write down what she knows about the hive, right? One thing that she writes down is that they cannot lie. She discovers that they cannot lie, in addition to other facts that she discovered about them. So what she does is she says, okay, since they can't lie, I'm going to ask a question that would actually help me. I'm going to go to Zosha at the hospital. We're going to ask if I can reverse this process, if I can reverse what's happening. So she goes to the hospital, meets with Zosha, and Zosha refuses to answer, which is not a lie, but it's also not the truth. Right? She's not saying anything. She just won't answer her question. So Carol gets the idea of taking a mix of certain chemicals in order to create a truth serum. And she makes this truth serum. She tests it at home, recording herself on video after taking it. And she watches the video back of her after taking the truth serum. And one thing that she finds out about herself after taking it is that she's actually sexually attracted to Zosha, which is something that she has not come to grips with at any point in the story until there. She looks at herself on screen saying, she's like, oh, shoot. All right, this is where we're at. This is how the inner part of my brain is wired, right? So then she goes back to the hospital with this truth serum. She says, hey, Zosha, let's go for a walk. Let's get you some fresh air. With the IV bag hooked up. Mm-hmm. And then she injects the truth serum into the IV bag. And Carol then asks Zosha again, while she is under the influence of the truth serum, about how to reverse the joining. Zosha is struggling to talk during the scene. She is noticeably struggling to talk. And as this is happening, the members of the hive near the hospital are surrounding the both of them, and they keep chanting, please, Carol, please, Carol. And they're like crying, just like sobbing, chanting, please, Carol, please, Carol. And so Carol's like, back up, like, still stop. She's trying to get Zosha to answer her. And then Zosha collapses from cardiac arrest. Which was a very dark ending to that episode. Because Carol thought, well, Zosha would just tell me what's really going on. She would just help me, right? Like she can't lie. But the reality of the situation was far more severe than she originally anticipated. And that's the end of the fourth episode. In the fifth episode, Zosha is returned to the hospital. Lakshmi is not happy. She is not happy about what Carol just did. Because
Her just yapping.
yo,
Just her
all
yapping.
Yo, she's flipping out. She's flipping out. She is ticked. Because what Carol did essentially was she forced every single member of this hive mind to chant "Please, Carol" while crying profusely, right, uncontrollably, which she was not happy with. So
Yeah, she be alright.
Carol, what'd you say?
She be alright.
You know, and yeah, I will say, Carol, for somebody who wants to quote unquote save humanity, Carol plays fast and loose in these episodes of the Hive. She plays fast and loose with the Hive. Like, even though she knows that, like, I don't know, one wrong move could, like, kill billions, she's real, like, well, you know, we'll see what happens.
We gotta get it in somehow.
Yeah, she's willing to roll the dice for whatever she thinks will benefit her. Even in some very extreme circumstances. Now, so what happens. They take Zosha away, trying to help her to come back because she's had cardiac arrest. And so Carol goes to sleep. She takes a nap. While she is asleep, every single person in all of Albuquerque leaves. They pack up, they get into vehicles, they drive off, and they leave Carol a recorded message letting Carol know, you know, they needed some space. Due to all that's happened, we need some space. And so she is basically now the only resident within all of Albuquerque. And so she now has quite a bit of information, and she feels like, I have to tell the other 12 people, like, what I learned. This is crazy information. I have to let them know that there's a way to change the situation, to turn them back. I don't know how to, but I know that there is a way, or they would have told me that there isn't a way. So now she records a message, and sends it to the other 12, letting them know that she needs their help. She's asking for their support. While this is, like, after this happens, a group of wolves are trying to dig through her trash, and so she chases the wolves off, and she takes her trash down to the garbage disposal because she hasn't been able to go. No one came to collect her trash by themselves, so, like, she had to go through her own process. And so she finds out that there's a ton of empty milk cartons from the local dairy in the neighborhood trash can. And she goes to the local dairy location where they manufacture it, and she finds out that instead of milk, they're actually making, like, a strange fluid that they create from, like, a bag substance of some kind. And so she does some tests on what the substance is, and she records what she finds in a video. She's like, powder? Like, what is this? She records what she finds in the video, and she realizes that she's like, oh, like, maybe, like, people are drinking this to maintain their mind, whatever. So the wolves come back, and they're looking for more food. And they actually start to dig up Helen's body, right? They're trying to dig through. And Carol is like, oh, we're not doing that. And they're just like, we're not doing what? Start growling at her. She's like, oh, okay, all right. It reminds me of the scene from Training Day with Denzel Washington when he's in the middle of, like, all the gangsters. He's like, all right, okay, yeah. So she goes and she gets into a police cruiser and then runs down on the wolves with the blaring lights of the police cruiser. Like, listen, I'm gonna get y'all out of here. And so she gets them away. She then tries to get, like, some heavy tiles to lay over the graves, but they can't dig it up anymore. And then she looks when she shopped, got the tiles and everything. She looks on the bag that the powder came in, and she sees the barcode. She's like, oh, maybe I can figure out kind of what is in this bag. trying to figure out what is in the bag. Maybe I can figure out what's in the bag. She goes to a local food packaging plant, and then she finds out what the ingredients are in the bag. Inside of a tart. She has like a scene. She's like, oh, and she like takes her a moment to realize. She's like, whoa, and then that's where that episode ends. Very bizarre episode because we don't really know what the substance is. Even after the episode concludes, we just know that it was shocking to her, whatever the substance is. Yeah. We know that it's probably not. We know it's definitely not milk because milk isn't manufactured by some random
the thing about
unknown
it
powder.
is, I mean, I guess I'll say what it is because you find out immediately next episode.
Find out immediately,
right?
Yeah.
But there was a space where I was like, well, it can't be that because that's just too obvious. That's too obvious and too simple. So there must be a different answer that I didn't suspect. But no, it's people. That's it.
That's it.
they
human derived protein.
Mm-hmm. Dead people.
Oh man!
But I will say, they subvert the trope by instead of it being like this, like it's only a huge reveal to Carol, and Carol specifically, right? And what should be like an earth-shattering thing that like changes everybody's like mind on Plurbs is already like an accepted fact, and I think that's interesting.
Yeah. Like you just got here, dog. That was like a day one question. Like, what are you? Like, where have you been?
You the last of the party. Nah, that's real. Because when she discovers that this is the case in the next episode, she records. She's like, "You won't believe what I found. It's so shocking. I have to record to show you, or you wouldn't possibly believe me." And so she records the bodies in the warehouse, and then she goes to meet back up with Kumba, who was still in Las Vegas, like he left to go to from his flight. Kumba's also a really interesting character because before Carol arrives, he decides to reenact a scene from like a spy movie or like a heist movie where he's like,
Casino Royale, right?
Casino Royale scene. And it's great, right? Like he has this fantasy of what he wants the scene to be like, and when characters don't portray themselves the way that he would like to, just like, no, stay in character. You're still the bad guy. Because they're just like, yeah, we're so happy for you for winning. He's like, what do you mean? Stop. It's very funny. He wins and he's like, I don't get just one girl. I get 5 girls. Like, you come with me. You come with me. Yes, I'm the man. I was like, this character is absolutely hilarious, man. Like I get the weight on Carol's shoulders is so immense, but this guy is just literally living Maximus. He's living a Maximus existence.
But I will say it's also very shallow. Extremely shallow. Like his fantasy is not that deep. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm the cool, suave, rich guy, right? But there's nothing like, and I hate to say it, but let's face it, he's not even that freaky for real.
I mean,
he's not even. He's like level 1. He's like level 1 freaky. Okay,
they don't show his activities, bro. I don't really know how his game.
I'm just saying.
Maybe you know where to meet him.
I'm just saying. Yeah. I'm just saying from what I've seen, right? The highest level, his freak goes like, oh yeah, what if a bunch of women were into me? That's it. What if
you didn't notice the baby oil on his dresser stand, bro?
Yeah, but that's not like I'm just saying he's not a real gooner. Okay, he's not
a real, like the maid come in and be like, "Hey, want to join?" Before
the bathtub scene, the hot tub scene was interesting.
Yeah, but that's like I said, that's low level. It's low level freakiness.
All right. Yeah,
okay.
He's not.
If you've been on the internet,
check this man's hard drive right now.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Now I'm curious.
He's not
high level freakiness. Describe it to me.
High level.
Please break it down.
Okay. No. Okay. I'm gonna give you like a quick example. Okay. Right. he's not. He doesn't have like a clear like fetish, for example.
Oh, okay.
Right. Nothing he's doing is like that particularly weird. Right. He's not like, oh, I want every woman that has this body type to come in and like sit on me. That's not what he's doing. Right? He's doing and I'm being very tame. I'm being very tame when I'm describing. Because like I said, this is a family program. I keep saying this.
This is a family
every
program.
episode. This is a family
Peak is
program
for the kids.
But it's or even if you say go to the Diddy level, right? If you look at if you read anything about the Diddy parties, that man was freaked out. Okay,
Yeah, he's a lot.
that man was freaked out. Kumba is not that freaked out. He's freaked out in a way that like a teenager.
Thank goodness he's not. Yeah,
Thank goodness he's not. But it's like how a teenager who like just heard about sex would be. That's how he's operating. I'm not defending Kumba or whatever. I'm just saying a lot of people, you know.
I feel you. You're saying
I got to insert here. Kumba Defender is really how they
please
himself
don't.
described.
'Cause I don't edit these anymore, so don't do that.
I hear you. You're saying game recognizes game, and he was
I
really
know. I'm not. I'm not saying.
You look a little.
What I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I have encountered. Okay, I've encountered true degeneracy. This is not it. I'm unimpressed.
I've seen better.
As someone who's used the who's used the internet unsupervised for about for about 20 years.
Right. Game did recognize game.
Unimpressed.
Oh my god! All right, I'm not trying to roast bait right now. That's not what we here to do.
Hey man.
But no, that was a good point. That's a good point. Kumba is not. He's not. It's not he's not over the top, right? He's not.
And yeah,
he's not
I think
a predator.
even like. Yeah, even
he's a
Vince
predator,
said,
but not in the way that you would think of a modern day predator, because he's taking advantage of women that can't say no to him. That's a different.
Yeah, I mean that whole debate is like a back and forth. I mean, even Vince Gilligan, I think in the podcast was like, he is almost like a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the way he's like going through the world. And I mean the whole consent non-consent debate is it is that meme of like, you know, I consent, but I don't. Right? Oh. Of like, I consent, and it's like, Kumba, I consent, and it's like the entire planet. and then it's Carol, but I don't. Isn't there somebody you forgot to ask? The consent is dubious, because I mean technically they are, but it's a real. It is. Do you believe the people are going to come back or not? Right? If you believe
they come back, will they retain their memory?
Yes, but if you believe the people are gone and this is just how things are, and they're all part of a hive, right? Mm-hmm. This is just reality, and there is no whatever. They're all part of a hive, and you know they say, "We'll do whatever you want. We like this," right? Then hypothetically, you can say, "Well, I mean that's my green light." But if you do believe that these people can be saved and that they're still in there, then that's wrong. Which makes you think about a certain character coming up. We'll get to them.
We'll get to them. It is all very interesting. However, after Carol's on her way to Vegas, all of the members of the hive mind tell Kumba, who is relaxing with a group of women naked in a hot tub, that hey, Carol's coming, so we are going to go. Actually, we can't be here when she gets here because we need space. We are space. So, Carol gets there, and Kumba's like, yeah. You're talking about your recordings? And she's like, yeah, you've been getting my recordings? He's like, yeah, I've been getting your recordings. Yep, every single one. She's like, why haven't you said anything? That's odd. And she's like, me and the others just really felt like it wasn't really worth sharing a ton about. She's like, you and the others, like, you all talk? And you're like, yeah, we meet several times a week. Actually, we hang out all the time. And she's just like, why did I get an invite? And he's like, well, put it to a vote. And some people, it wasn't majority. Most people did not actually want you there for the meeting. He's like, we meet with everyone who is not turned. And some of the non-English speakers were kind of offended that you decided to have a get-together and you chose to exclude them. They were not happy about that. Thought that was kind of messed up. But he's like, I don't. He's like, hey, it's all good. He's like, I have no hatred towards you. And she's just like, well, what I'm going to show you is going to shock you. It's going to blow your mind. You won't believe it. And you're just like, what? The fact that like they eat people. She's like, huh? And he's just like, all right, let me just show you the thing. And we get a scene of John Cena.
John Cena cameo was great.
John Cena on television explaining HDP. The name of this episode, HDP. And what HDP stands for is human-derived protein. As we've discovered pretty early on in the story, this group will not kill. They cannot kill. However, they need to sustain themselves with an appropriate number of calories to survive. And they are only able to do so by utilizing essentially a beverage made from dead bodies. It is deeply disturbing.
Well, it's not all dead bodies, right?
It's a mix of things, it includes humans, which is why they refer to it as human-derived protein. And so, the next morning, so Carol hears that he knew everything, and she's just like, existential crisis mode. You knew everything. You all meet weekly, and you decided not to. You excluded me from your fan club. I am deeply distressed by all of these findings. This is highly upsetting to me. The first time I found out about any fact about these things, I wanted to share it with the person closest to where I'm living, because this is extremely important information for them to know. I've been sharing a bunch of information, and no one has gotten back to me at all. Like, this is bad. And so, Carol then goes to sleep. When she wakes up, Kuma shares with her something else that he knows that she did not know. And that is that in order for the hive to convert someone who's immune, they have a way to do it, but they have to extract your stem cells and then make a custom virus just for you as an individual. Because the immune have something about their makeup that would not make it work with the generic version. They need a special made version of the virus. But in order to do that, they would have to take your stem cells. And they won't do that without your consent. And so, with that information, Carol then calls the hive and says, I do not give you my consent. You are not allowed to do this at all. Right? And so that information is then shared. You're in the loop. Manusos is the person that we see after this scene. And Manusos receives that first video message from Carol, translated into his language subtitles, I believe. He realizes that he is not the only survivor. This is his confirmation. He had a CT suspicion after the phone call, and then he finally sees this person named Carol Sturka. Oh, shoot. Like, there's an English-speaking American woman that also is not turned. I must find her, and together we'll save the world. That is my
He's on that grind after that, too.
He's on that grind after that.
There's a great character moment I don't want to skip over between Carol and Kumba, where
Please.
I think it's a breakfast scene, and like, he's doing like, I think, like toast or like avocado or and like a meat or something like that, and you're all eating, and Carol like smashes the avocado like onto her toast, like avocado toast, and like puts everything together and eats it. And there's a moment where Kumba is like looking at that, and he sees it, and he's like, "Wow, I never thought of that." And he imitates it like for himself and enjoys it. And it's like, despite all the pleasures that he has, he does miss the human connection because like they can't make anything new. They can only make what they know, and like imitate, but they can't make it new. I mean, this is where I think Pluribus kind of works as like an allegory for AI, even though that was not intentional. When Vince Gilligan,
are you sure it wasn't intentional?
Yeah, because Pluribus was in production before the big generative AI boom in like the past couple years. He said in interviews, "No, this was not my intention. It just so happened that it lined up like this."
It's a happy
But
coincidence.
it is that thing of like, if you surround yourself with like AI slop, it can look good or do this or feed whatever, but it's that human connection that we really value. And just that little thing of like putting avocado on your toast was something that like Manusos just could never have done hanging out with the Plurbs. Like they would have done that because it's not like useful to them. I think that's also a moment, and I think there's like there's also kind of a bit where when Kumba sends Carol on her way, he's kind of sad about it. He's kind of like looking out that window and he's like, he has everything, but it's not, his happiness is not the same.
Yeah. No, that's a valid point. That's a valid point. Because he actually...
Ladies!
I'm telling you, I'm calling it right now. Wait a second. It's that time again. It's yet again. I'm bringing up suicide on the pod.
How?
We can't avoid it.
Unaliving.
Suicide time.
I was gonna say that I feel like Kumba is either going to join the hive out of depression. He's either going to join the hive or he's going to kill himself. I feel like that's where he's going to be. Like it's either three things. He's either going to join the resistance. If he feels like there's a way out of this, I think at some point he's going to try to get out of this. And I think he's either going to be like, all right, I'm going to be in a resistance, or I'm joining the hive, or he's just going to be on he's going to be on top of a tower, like at a pool party or whatever. And he's going to look over the edge and be like, damn. I just feel like that's where he's going.
Oh, I should mention this since we're talking about Kumba so much. The hive typically will make statements about love in a really interesting way. They love everyone and everything equally. It's part of the reason why they don't kill fruits by plucking them, because they love that apple just as much as they love Supa. They love Supa just as much as they love that cow. They love that cow just as much as they love that ant. Love that ant as much as they love that wheat stalk. Their concept of like life is like full stop equal.
I mean,
because of that,
no. If they did,
they never met you.
I think I'd be like upper on the priority of like
the
love.
Irony is, even though they haven't met you, they still love you, Supa. Because they're like,
wow, I've never examined a human brain like this. This is some incredible stuff going on here.
Incredible.
An augmentation that all humanity can't create.
Because they say it too. They'll say it often, like, "No, we love you," right? And as a human, when someone says "I love you," in your brain, you have a certain response to that, right? If it's a family member, if it's a significant other, if it's a child that is your child, or if it's a parent talking to you, or if it's an adult in your, I love you. Like you in your brain, you'd say, "Oh, like there's a certain type of love that I'm getting from this interaction, even from friends, right? Like I love everyone here." But there's a certain type of camaraderie that I have with the people in this space. And so that kind of love versus what the hive has is very different, right? Yeah. But because they're using the same word, it's having an impact on these characters in such intriguing ways. And when we think back to scenes from like the plane, or when we look back to scenes from like the Las Vegas hotel, them saying how much they love these uninfected characters may be impacting their mind state gradually, as it's doing to Carol, as we're about to see in the next episode. But before we get to the next episode, it is interesting that Kumba does tell Carol that they want to come back. They're just waiting for Carol to have a change of heart. And Carol then says, yeah, right, forget them, basically, the PG version. Because she doesn't care if they want to come back. She's very opposed to them, very strongly. And that's when we go to the scene of Manusos in Paraguay, viewing the message and saying, "Oh, shoot, I'm not alone. Let me find this woman. She's told me where I read the address from the package that was delivered to me. I have to find her because she must be the only other survivor, and we need to connect." He has no other information because he's chosen to remain in hiding. Also worth mentioning, because this is actually extremely relevant, he has no information because he has been in hiding. During the scene where Carol meets with the other survivors have immensely more information than Carol has. And the reason they have so much more information than what Carol has is because they've been talking and having conversations about to the hive about what they like, what their thought processes are on certain things, how they navigate certain spaces, how they work, how they tick. Like, for the people just being curious, wanting to learn about them. Carol, up until the point of that meeting, had not asked any of those members anything about themselves. Even Zosha, who looked like that character from Makaro, she didn't even ask her anything about who she is, what she thought, what she believed, none of it, right?
Right.
And so but after that meeting, we get a shift in Carol's mentality where Carol starts to be a bit more curious, starts to ask more questions, and starts to be a bit more interested and invested in these people, or in this, I guess, as Beto called them, the Pluribus. But Manusos has not. Manusos, in some ways, is very similar to how Carol was at the beginning of the series when it comes to his interest in getting to know the hive mind better. And so he, at this time in the story, knows he knows nada. All he knows is that these things are dangerous. They are a collective mind of some kind. They aren't able to show any range of emotions. Something is wrong with these people.
He does
and it is
also
freaking.
but he also does have this interesting thing with the radio signals. There's radio channels that he's been recording.
Yeah.
And that's like that's probably the only leg up he has on like anyone right now is those codes.
Yes.
You'll get to it, but we start to see kind of where that's kind of maybe going.
Very good point, Supa. Yeah, he has these radio stations. He just goes from radio station to radio station trying to like hear if there's any odd signal or something different. And he finds one station that's different from all the others, but most of them are just giving static. But this one station that's different from the others, he actually notes it with like a bunch of question marks in a notebook. He's like shifting from station to station every single day, just like writing them in a book, putting a line through when he reads it that just has static. His book is just full of radio stations with lines and one radio station with a question mark set next to it. Really interesting. Really interesting. So then he tries to find Carol. Gets in his car. It's a little beat up, trying to spruce it up, and people from the town just comes, "Hey, hello, Menusos," in Espanol. Let us help you. And like, wow, it's so good to see you, Menusos. And he's just like, get away from me. I want nothing to do with y'all.
You're not my real mom. It's like,
yeah, like his mother comes up to him. And it's so interesting because this is the second instance where we see the hive kind of think that it knows what an uninfected person would like. And it's very wrong when it comes to Menusos. It's extremely wrong. Menusos does not want to see his mom be sweet and kind and loving, because that's not who she is.
Yeah.
She's kind of heartless. She's kind of mean spirited, which is what he says about her. He's like, "You're not my mother. My mother would never behave like this. This is crazy." Um, and it's an interesting concept, right? So Carol goes back to Albuquerque now that she knows that she can't get infected anymore. Because in order for them to infect her, kiss won't work, giving her food won't work, giving her a drink won't work. They're gonna have to basically stab her hip with a syringe and take her stem cells from her. And it has to be by her permission. And she's expressly told them, "I do not give you my permission to do this." And they said, "Okay, Carol, we understand. We're not gonna assimilate you if that's what you want. It's fine."
Yeah.
Carol goes back home in Albuquerque, and she just starts balling out. And I'm not saying shopping. She's going to the store to pick up a new car. She's just in the parking lot. She's like, this police cruiser was fine, but like that Rolls Royce though, I'm at the golf, playing golf for free. You know what I mean? Got a little Rolls Royce here. Car keys by the valet. Taking this Rolls, man. This Rolls is mine now.
Yeah.
Roll around in a Rolls Royce, goes to the museum, picks up an original art piece, sets it up in her house. Just like all the nice things that she wants, she's gonna take advantage of all the ones that she can, because there's no one there to hold her accountable. She's by herself. The entire what do you say?
She's balling out.
She's balling out. She's going crazy.
Not as much as Kuma, but yeah. Balling regardless.
Kuma bananas, bro. Kuma was probably he probably balled out more than anyone else in the series at this point.
Yeah.
but Carol was gunning for him. She was just like, maybe I can, take advantage of this a little bit.
Yeah.
So she is. The episode opens and she's just like going, taking what she wants, setting up what she wants, living in the lap of luxury, because there's no one there to say, hey, you can't do that, or hey, that's wrong. Like, she can do whatever she wants. And then we go to Manusos, who is quite literally going across South America in a car by himself and trying to find ways to make sure that he can do it self-sufficiently, right? So he's finding cars in order to like tap their gas and in order to fuel his car, and he's trying to find food and water, just hanging out around. He just refuses to accept any help from the hive at all. While he's on this drive, though, he's trying to learn English. He's practicing English. My name is Manusa Oliveira. I am not one of them. I want to save the world, right? And he just keeps repeating these phrases to himself in English to try to like learn the language. And he's listening to these language tapes. He reaches a certain point, and the hive says, "Hey, this is going to be extremely dangerous, because you can't drive through this path. You're gonna have to go this path on foot, and it's gonna go very poorly. You shouldn't do this. Like, we would love to just bring you to Carol ourselves." He's just like, he's like, you can't do any of that stuff for me. He's like, because those are not your bodies. What are y'all gonna say about that?
Yeah, it's a stubbornness that I think that really makes Manuso's character really intriguing to watch, because he really, like we said before, he does have this very reverent way of like using other people's things and resources, like to the point where they're offering him to take him there by plane. He won't go by plane. They're offering him to drive him. He won't drive him. Even you'll get a bit into it, but even when it gets to something where like he seriously needs like help, like he seriously he will be like, no, I'm not. I'll thug it out. That ain't your knowledge. That isn't your resources. That isn't your car. That isn't your truck. You know what I mean? If my car doesn't take me that far, then I'll just walk. And he's going all the way to, and I'm no geography expert, but he's going to Albuquerque when he's in, what was it again? Portugal? No, it wasn't Portugal. It was
He was from Paraguay.
Paraguay, yes. And
from Paraguay to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
He's just willing to just get there by any means without having to use any like resources that the hive is providing. And that's
it was insane.
yeah.
Yeah, the dogged determinism really sold it.
Yeah, just like is next level. So he gets out of his car. He's talking with the hive about this. He's just like, none of this stuff is yours. He's like, the bodies aren't yours, clothes aren't yours, so you don't belong here. And because those things that you're trying to use to help me aren't yours, I can't accept them from you because they were not yours to give. And he literally pours gasoline on his car. He's like, I can do whatever I want to my things because they belong to me, and I can do whatever I want to. Look at this! I can light my car on fire. He proceeds to burn his vehicle before proceeding deeper through this gap in order to get to Albuquerque. And while he's trekking through this jungle, he trips and impales himself on a tree that has like spikes coming out of it. He tries to cauterize his wounds by lighting a machete and cauterizing the wound on his back. But it doesn't actually work as well as he hoped it would. And he collapses, he fades out of consciousness, and the hive sends a helipad, basically a helicopter to bring him to a hospital. So that happens. Then we get back to Carol. Carol is in a deep depression. She's been now in isolation for over a month. And I think at this stage is when she kind of decides, all right, I've had enough. She goes to the store, she buys a bucket of paint roller, and she paints the message to come back. And in the next scene, we see Zosha pull up at the house, and Carol tearfully runs up to her and hugs her in a warm embrace. And then the scene pans out. We see the painted words on the.
Now there is definitely something to be said. I think one thing that a lot of people picked up was the painting that Carol takes from the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum.
Mm-hmm.
Is the belladonna, which is a poisonous flower, right? And it's like famously poisonous. It's almost in a way, and I think as we see in the next episode, even though she asked the hive to come back, she has not given up yet.
Yeah.
Right? She's trying a new strategy, and still she does want that. She wants people back and wants that around, but she is trying a new strategy, almost like more covertly working against the hive's interests like a poison.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I forgot to mention this. This is actually a pretty large plot point. In Vegas, Kumba also reveals to Carol that despite the hive consuming HDP, it is not giving them enough calories. And that within a certain amount of time, because they are not eating enough, because they aren't willing to kill anything, including plants or fruits, in order to feed themselves, the hive will eventually all die. They are all going to. It is an inevitable result because they can't eat enough to survive, despite what their best attempts, and they're literally going to self-extinct themselves. Which is scary because Carol thinks that they're going to turn her and then die like self-destruct basically.
Yeah.
When she finds out this way that she can survive, she's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna enjoy myself while I'm living. But then she realizes that all of this is very empty when she is physically alone. I think Bate mentioned earlier that Kuma is also alone. He's alone with the hive. It doesn't feel as lonely. Carol is not with anyone. She's only for you to talk to or to ask things from. She is extremely alone, which is why she kind of caved in to temptation in the space, and allows herself to request them to return. And so from here we go to the next episode. All right. So Manousos wakes up, whoa, and being treated for his injuries, and he basically holds the doctor hostage, goes to the front desk and says, "Give me the bill. I need to know how much I owe you for everything, because I'm not taking anything for free. I'm going to pay you back what I owe you. How much was it all?" And they said, "This is the amount that we should have charged you based on what you received." But despite how far he's gone, back in Panama, which is like, he's like, I traveled so far. You brought me back to Panama. Crazy. And so they were like, yeah, but like, you need more time to recover. Like, you are not well. You are fairly badly injured. He's just like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So he takes an ambulance and drives, just punches it to Albuquerque. Now in Albuquerque,
I think he's past the gap though.
I don't know.
What?
He must be.
Yeah, he was because he was from Paraguay.
Yeah,
he was from Paraguay,
he's
and now he's in Panama, and that's Central America. So I think it's
Central
past
America.
The gap.
Yeah, it's past the gap. But he is still quite a ways from his main destination. So he gets in the ambulam, punches it, going. So we then fast forward to Albuquerque, where Carol is spending the day with Zosha, and people come back into the city. And now Carol's more curious about the hive. She's like, "Where do you all sleep?" Like, I never even asked you this question before. I was cute. Where do you go to sleep? And like, "Oh yeah, I'll show you where we sleep." And then she goes to like this giant stadium, and they're all kind of like a little like mats down in this giant stadium, and they're all sleeping together. And so Zosha asks, like, "Hey Carol, is it okay if I just like go to sleep because I'm kind of tired?" And Carol's like, "Yeah, sure, that's fine." And then, Carol goes to sleep too, so she stays with this hive in this giant sleepover. You guys understand how
I do have one question. Oh wait, you have something, Super?
No, go ahead.
All right, I do have one question. Okay, they're all about efficiency and whatnot, and okay, what I'm gonna say is gonna sound a little rough, but hear me out. All right, why are there still like fat plurbs?
It has been.
I don't get it.
I think they even explained it during the John Cena episode.
Yeah, they said they like feed people based on if their current thing, but like why?
Yes. My guess is because they don't have the time to have them do other activities that will be like physically demanding exercise. So like they have to kind of just maintain their current body types to an extent. That's my guess, right?
I guess, but like,
because yeah, it might just be, or it could just be. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. Like, it's just a matter of why have them exercise, when
what I'm not saying exercise, but I'm just saying you can feed them less. Hey, that'd be step one. Okay, step one, if we're talking about pluribus efficiency. All right, if I was one of the human beings and I was like, I got it saved in plurbs, right? Step one, I would say, okay, you can feed these plurbs less, and they can go into a calorie deficit. Okay, and then everyone can be like maybe like a certain kind of like body weight. That'd be like step one. Because I don't know, some of them. I mean, it's been like a couple of months, and a couple of those plurbs are kind of chunky. And I'm just like,
it takes more than a couple months to lose weight, though. Like,
I'm just saying, it's not
in a healthy way.
It's not efficient. It's not efficient. It's not like you're in a food crisis.
More mass.
You're in a food crisis.
They got more mass for the more heavy duty lifting. You know what I mean?
That's the other thing. It's like Like it's cool that you have John Cena, but like you shouldn't be trying to maintain the John Cena body type. That's super inefficient.
Yes and no, because it's like when a person is not eating the amount of calories that their body is used to, they become extremely hungry, right? And like, yes, a hive mind could probably resist certain cravings, but like at the same time, it's just like, we could also like not have those cravings at all if you just drink enough HTP.
Do you think they're still keeping John Cena on like trend? Post Flair to keep his physique.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's drinking a little bit more than other people. We'll see.
I feel like the HTP is probably would be the equivalent of like protein powder.
It is protein powder.
I guess. It is protein powder.
It's very literally protein powder. It's just that.
But like they said, they're only
protein
like
is derived from is crazy. But yeah, it's protein, literally protein powder.
So
you're drinking protein shakes.
Yeah, so they're getting in there, the shakes like that, and that kind of maintains their physique.
But I don't think it would. I'm just saying. Okay. Here's my other thing. Like if they're just drinking straight HTP, right, which is all your basic nutrients, okay, that means they're probably cutting out a lot of fat and like sugar from their diet, straight up. Okay, that's gonna cause weight loss in people. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, the
I
irony
understand.
Is that
I understand they're all supposed to be like normal people. Like that's the whole thing. But I'm saying a couple of months, you probably have some more transformations.
Yeah. Maybe they were
fatter. All I'm saying.
Maybe they were wider before.
That's
maybe they were even okay.
Yeah. Maybe they were enormous, and now they are no longer enormous. Now they're just big.
Think about it like
possible.
That. Possibilities there.
There's definitely a few questions I do have when it comes to the Pluribus. Like what about people who are disabled, right? Because we don't see those people like and they try to keep them alive, but like, okay, what about people what if you have what if you're like diabetic, are they giving your insulin? What if you're this or that?
They probably are.
Yeah,
because they know all of your health conditions, and the mind of your doctor is now your mom. Is in your mom. And your mom is like, I know what kind of medication you need. I can even make that medication. Let me go to the place where they can make it for me and give it to my son. Like,
yeah, like we see.
We don't see them a ton, but we see. Yeah, we're gonna say super.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we see like them taking care of like old hive mind people, by like lifting them and putting them in wheelchairs and whatnot. So like, I assume that like they have a way to like maintain everybody, or at least people who might not have as easier time of like moving around or be as physically I guess physically as healthy as like an average person.
Yeah. Well, and I do wonder if being blind or deaf or having a sensory disability, would that be the same if you are in the hive?
Probably
because
not.
like your body can't see, but like you're connected to all these people you can see, or you may not personally hear, but
if you're blind, I imagine it would be similar to like the 6 paths of pain from Naruto, just all the visions linked.
Yeah.
Well said, Super. 6 paths of pain. Classic.
I'll have Renegade.
Renegade. Yeah, I guess.
It's a shared experience. But nah, it's great. So, Carol and Zosha spend more time together the next day, and then Zosha tells Carol about kind of where they came from, right? Like, where did the signal come from? It talks about like a planet, and she has her use like a telescope to see like the little dot to see where the star is that came from, but also to explain like what their mission is. They're like, yeah, our mission is to bring this joy to other planets. So we're going to try to build a giant antenna that will transmit a signal to other planets, like the signal the Earth received, in order to spread ourselves to other places, right? Now, they have a meal later that night. And they talk about Wakaro a little bit as well. And Carol is being encouraged to continue Akaro. But she also understands that her objective hasn't changed. And so she talks to Zosha about it. She's just like, hey, like, my mission is still my mission. Like, no matter what you try to do, you can't prevent me from stopping what's happening. And then Zosha kisses Carol and they make out. The next day, Carol actually finishes the first chapter of her new book.
I mean, they do a little more than make out. Like I said, this is a
they had sex.
This is a family program.
That coitus.
Once again, but you know,
they have
The kids will learn.
It is a family program, and that's why I cut it out at they make out. But,
I just didn't. I felt it'd be wrong for you to disingenuous to just leave it at that.
No, you're right. We gotta keep the integrity of the program.
She follows the path of Kumba.
They were having certain activities in that bedroom. They slept together. And then the next morning, Carol wakes up earlier than Zosha. She's going at it, finishes the first chapter, says, you got to check it out. Tell me what you think. And they have a little like geeked out moment of Zosha being like, I'm so excited. Like, what about this? What about that? And you can tell that Zosha is operating from the brain of members of Carol's fan club because the energy that they had was very involved. And you're just like, this is not a normal Akaro fan. This is clearly like amalgamation of people that are huge fans of Akaro that are now getting a chance to enjoy the excitement of reading a chapter from their favorite author. Which is special for them because they do not ever get to read original content written by anyone because, to our knowledge, none of the other characters in the story are writers. So they don't really have a ton of original content that's new. Like Zosha said, I'm so excited to reread something new. They were very much looking forward to reading something interesting, original. And so then that happens. And a few days later, Zosha tells Carol, you're about to have a visitor. And that's because Minusos is crossing the Mexican-U.S. border. He is getting ever closer to Albuquerque.
And also, I think Dosher talks more about her backstory, like her own personal history and whatnot, where she grew up and she's Polish. And I think at this point, Carol is convinced that the stripper is in love with her. she's bought in. Okay, she's like, no. So I think also she is explicitly telling Zosha to stop referring to herself as we and as I, right, and use like singular pronouns. Because she wants to have like that further relationship and be like, no, this is real. This is real, and you love me, and I love you, and I can fix you, etc., etc. And it's kind of bleak and it's kind of sad.
Yeah. What's the Barney song go? I love you, you love we. We're a happy family.
At least Kumba knew what he was doing. At least he's aware of the bargain. But Carol's like, no, this is different actually.
Yeah, I think this is very interesting. Now we're getting into a bit more commentary versus just the story. But I'll share this. I'll share that. Carol, being isolated for so long. I think it sped up that process in her brain of this group of people that share a singular mind actually are not a group of people sharing a singular mind. One of these people that I find attractive actually could like me and be attracted to me personally. And she could operate as an individual. And she has a backstory. And she has a life. And I want to learn more about her backstory and her life. And I want to get to understand her better. And I want her to take a personal interest in me. and to share with me her personal thoughts about it. And like, that's not how this thing works. And she knows it, but she ignores it because she was just so desperate for connection. And you know, what one could say that you know, since Kumba was not as desperate for connection, it didn't go as quickly as it went for her, for him. But things are taking a sharp left. Things are taking a sharp left at this point. And then we go on. And we go on to the next episode. And this is also the final episode of the series. So Manusos arrives. But before he arrives, Sosha's like, hey, he's about to get here. I should probably go. Carol's like, well, I don't think it's a big deal. Like, he's dangerous or anything, right? And Sosha's just like, I don't think he'd do anything to you. Carol's just like, what? Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, this guy's dangerous for real? Like, what's going on?
Now, I do think this is the high vein. Manipulative. Super manipulative right there. Because they're already framing it in such a way, and so their first meeting right off the bat goes left.
Yeah.
Yes. There is an element of we're setting the framing for this because while they cannot lie, they can choose to omit certain things that serve them in certain ways. So Manusos gets there. He pulls up in his ambulam, and he's honking his horn. He's got his machete on his hip. Walks up to the ambulance, and Carol comes. She's just like, "Oh, great!" Like he says his thing that he's been practicing for forever in English. She greets him in Spanish and says, "Come on in, come into my home." And then he's just like, "You come into my ambulance." She's just like, all right, hold on. Let me get my translator out. She gets her smartphone and she uses her translator. And she's trying to communicate with him about like, I don't want to get into like your creepy car. He's just like freaking out because he's just like they're gonna hear you through the phone. She's like, it's in airplane mode. What are you talking about? And in the scuffle, he shoves her phone down the sewer drain. And she's just like, man, forget you. Like, go back home. Like, I'm not dealing with this. So he fishes the phone out of the sewer drain. And then he goes back to the door and he's just like, fine, like we won't go in an ambulance. I just want to talk to you. Just give me an umbrella for our walk. We'll talk outside.
I'll say he is right to be
paranoid.
You know, worried about paranoid surveillance because they are always surveilling them.
Yeah,
always. Yeah. The Pluribus are using the entire power of the United States military to surveil everyone constantly. They're flying drones over. They have all kinds of different ways because they always want to know like what is going on.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that. There's a point earlier in the series where Carol is being watched, and she says, hey, that thing that's watching me in the sky, don't let it watch me anymore. Like, I don't want to be, like, watched by some kind of surveillance camera. And they're like, all right, Carol, we know that may have been upsetting. We're not going to do that anymore. She then paints words at a later point in the story to tell them to come back, and they see those words. So it's like, they listen temporarily, but actually... But actually, they're always watching.
Like what? In episode 2, she tells them to like stop using the memories of her life, like Helen.
Yeah, stop using Helen's memories.
To lose them, like and don't use them. But like they say okay, and they don't do that because they clearly for the rest of the series use the fact that they have intimate knowledge of her via Helen against her the entire time.
Yeah. And she's able to ask them to at certain points, and they can access it. So they can like wipe it out at will. That's not how it works at all, apparently. So yes, Manusos is not being paranoid. He's actually being he's being reasonably cautious based on the amount of information that he has at this point in the story, right? And so he takes his umbrella, and this scene is, I think, for me, one of the most interesting ones, because we have a man who wants to essentially fix the problem and save the world, and he has his own perspective of what that means. And Carol has seemingly relinquished her objective to an extent. She's very much enjoying her time with Zosha. They have gotten much closer over the course of the last episode and some change. Seeing where Zosha sleeps and spending time with Zosha and enjoying a meal together and hearing about her backstory, she starts to see Zosha as an individual and as a person and no longer as a part of the hive mind. And so when Manusos shows up, and he's just like, we gotta fix this. Is bad. We gotta fix this. She's just like, no, fix what? Really? What's your plan here? Oh, they're not bad. She's like, he's like, listen, he's like, these things are evil. They are equating human life with insect. This is you don't see anything wrong with this. This is very bad. And Carol essentially is trying to help him understand, it's not what you think it is. And he's like, we can't be in your house because your house is probably bugged. There's probably surveillance devices in your home. So I don't want to be in your house. I want to be in a space where they can't see me and they can't hear me because there's nothing around for them to bug. And she's like, this is ridiculous. I'm going back into my house. And so he's like, okay. He falls behind her. And then he attempts to find surveillance devices. Just going into the TV, going to the entertainment center, goes into the liquor cabinet. She's trying to get a drink. He's like, oh, let's make you want a drink? I want a drink. Make this other drink. So she's going to make him a drink. He's like, oh, I got to check this whole area. And then he discovers a sensor in the inside of the liquor cabinet. So Carol's like, what actually, what is this? So she calls on the phone, and the hive explains, the Zosha explains specifically. Zosha explains that we did not put that there. That was there before we got there. That was something installed so that way during the time that you were trying to, have a child, making sure that when you open up that drawer, it would tally how many times you went inside, keeping track of your alcohol consumption.
Put by Helen.
This was by Helen. That's exactly correct.
She has a real problem. Well,
yeah,
a sustained problem that has been going on for at least 7 years.
At least.
Damn.
At the bare minimum. She cannot stop drinking. Which is deeply concerning. And she's like, I definitely need a drink. And she goes back to the cabinet after finding out. drinking to destroying her happy home. And so Manusos is invited by Carol to stay in a neighbor's house. And Carol doesn't even really know the guy. I think his name is Wilson. Which is kind of funny. And he's like, you don't own this house. This is not your house. It's not your house to lend. And she's like, I don't care where you stay. Stay in your ambulance if you want. It really doesn't matter to me. And so she storms out and leaves. Now, before any of this happened, during that initial conversation that Carol had with Manusos, she was sharing with Manusos that he doesn't understand them. He hasn't talked to them. She's talked to them. And he should try to get to understand them better. He should try to get to understand their perspective. It all sounds very familiar, which is really what makes this scene so impactful, right? Because now Carol is in the role of the other survivors. She has now drawn an emotional connection to a member of the hive mind, whereas Manusos is in the same situation that Carol was in previously. And if you haven't drawn that connection at this point after watching these 9 episodes, congratulations. Peak did it for you.
And I would say if Menuso's connected with Carol in like episode 5, whole different picture.
Yeah.
Whole different picture.
Whole
You gotta
different
get there
picture if they
early.
connected earlier. But like by episode 9, she's like in a whole. She's like, you know, once she had a little, you know, once she had a little taste, she's like, oh, actually, maybe this isn't so bad.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah.
If they got together, bro, they would have been moving like Prime, Shaq, and Kobe, bro.
Now, I will
would have been
say
the Carol and Menuso show, bro.
I will say
Curtains.
Menusos and Carol are abrasive for different reasons and from different angles.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it is like, and they both can't stand each other's abrasiveness, right?
Yes.
Like Menusos will do something where he'll be like, oh, Carol, give me this. Snap, and starts like snapping at her. Yeah, and Carol is like, whoa, no, you're not.
Yes.
We don't do that. We don't do that here. But same time, Carol's super dismissive of him, and using, as you brought out, the same arguments that the other people have already used. And Menusos is also like, well, I mean, worst case scenario, we kill them all, right? And Carol's like, whoa, chill on that, chill.
Yeah, I think earlier you mentioned that Menusos has like a bit of his morality is based on like certain religious elements. And
Yeah,
here he's
'cause he
saying
sees
that
her
their
as what?
souls.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, in the scene with the umbrella outside, he's like, their souls have been taken. Like if we can't bring them back, we have to purge them. Like they have to be destroyed. They're not they are not human beings. They're not real. And Carol's just like, no, they are in fact human beings. But like you mentioned, Menuso's mentality and his abrasiveness kind of served this thought process of these are not real people. And because they are not real people, I haven't actually killed a person if we destroy them. We should destroy. He says destroy them. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I understand what type of time this man is on. He's moving different. Carol never had any intention of killing anyone. She wanted to turn them back. But Menusos doesn't care about turning anything. He thinks to save the world, we have to purge the others. Just so interesting. So because he saw Carol call Zosha at Carol's house in order to find out about the sensor, and Menuso was told to learn more about them, he decides it would be a great idea to learn more about them from the same person that Carol just called. So he dials the number and he says, who is that person that Carol Sturka was talking to over the phone? He's like, was it you? He's like, not me. Like, who was that? It's a person named Zosha. He's like, send that person to me. So Zosha shows up, and Zosha and Menusos have a chat. And in this chat, Zosha, who cannot lie and just shares whatever she's asked, tells Menusos, as she describes it, everything. And based on how Menusos is wired, I believe her. I believe that Menusos asked, and she says this when Carol says, what did you tell him? She's like, well, listen, Carol, he asked extremely specific questions that were designed to reveal a lot of information, and we cannot deceive him. Like, we have to tell him the truth. And then Carol's like, how can that be? Like, that's terrible. Like, she just couldn't come to grips with it. And she's like, well, maybe hard for you to believe, but we love him the same way that we love you. And that sent Carol over there. She said, that's impossible. Like, you don't even know him. Like, you just met him. You haven't had any contact with him. how is it that you love him the same way that you love me, and you're my chaperone? Like, this is crazy. Like, we spent a lot of time together. We built a bond, and this is where the flaw in Carol's logic starts to unravel, because she's in this point of the story realizing that love was not the love that a lover has for a person that they are in a relationship with. It is a very open-ended love that applies to quite literally every living being on the planet.
She got fake
Now,
and fake love to her, straight up to her face.
To her face, bro. Savagery, absolute savagery. So, Manusos, since Zosha isn't the person that he's allowed to talk to, she's like, "Don't talk to my girl." He's like, "All right, you got it.
Oh,
yes, that's
that
yours."
was also wild. Okay. That's the moment in the episode I was like, Carol is like,
she's
almost feeling this, because she's like, because I think she says like, because it's such an ownership. He's like, I forget what she says, but he's like, she's mine.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, especially when you factor in all the pluribs and the dubious consent or whatever, this really be like, this is some real, like, it's some real dicey territory. Like, I'm almost like, no, understand, this is my slave. this is my slave, and you can't come in here and be.
Did you pay
gallivanting
for them? I don't think is that what. No, but I mean, I think I do think she's. But I would say, she is saying it in like a place of like love. Like, this is my girl, man. Like, what do you mean you want her? You know what I mean? Like, if someone were to come by, any of our beings, and they're like, "Yo, come over here." I'm like, what do you mean, come over here? She won't be. She's with me. like
Carol was wild in this episode. She reached an emotional peak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's I want to say confused.
Oh, you're talking, but your sound's not working.
Oh.
His audio may have gotten disconnected.
How about now?
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you again now. You were saying something a moment ago.
No, I was saying, like, but in this episode, she was really like out of pocket. She was doing all kinds of different stuff, and I was getting a little worried for Manusos. Okay, I was getting really worried for that man's safety.
I don't think she would have done anything.
Well,
no.
Well, all right. Let's talk about it. So, after Carol takes away Zosha, Menusa's called for another person to come and take Zosha's place. All of a sudden, during that conversation that Zosha's having with Carol, Zosha says, "Hey, Carol, I'm going to lay down. Something's about to happen, but everything's okay. Don't freak out." And then she proceeds to have a convulsion. And Carol's like, "Wait, I didn't do anything. Like, I wasn't angry. Like, I didn't trigger anything. Like, what? How could this even?" Oh, and like it dawns on her that Manusos is probably in the other house, triggering global seizures. Right now. So she bolts across the street, and she sees Manusos essentially over the body of this other hive member having a convulsion, right? So she's like, "What's wrong with you? Like, how could you do this? What are you thinking?" And so Manusos is just like, "All right, I'm gonna be right back." He goes in his car, and this is an interesting scene. The machete's on top of the backpack, so they create a visual of like, what's he gonna get? And he grabs the backpack. He goes to the backpack, and he gets the radio. And he looks in the book for the right radio station, finds the right radio station, goes back in the house. While the convulsions are happening, he brings the radio close to the guy, and the convulsions stop. They stop. Seemingly like triggered by the frequency of a radio station. Real interesting. The first time we've ever seen this happen in the series. We've never seen any person do something that would make the convulsions stop. They seemingly have to stop on their own. So they stop. they cease.
I'm kind of curious, Beto, since I feel like you would have like the most like knowledge on sci-fi here. What do you think the radio signal like? Why do you think the signal kind of like stopped the hive mind movements,
Um,
or what that like means?
Honestly, that brings me back to watching. I don't know. I think it just probably is someone's. Honestly, it's been a while, and just from watching that episode and just thinking about it, I'm thinking of it like a communication to stop, or communication to the hive mind, to what the uh, parasite is. Because it now just reminds me of, like, if any of you guys seen Close Encounters with the Third Kind, that movie
I've
uses
heard
a
of
lot of sound and to communicate with the aliens. So I think it was some kind of communication they were trying to do.
And
Yeah, I was thinking it might have been like a reference to some. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think they said that like I don't think they explicitly say this, but I believe it's they communicate via radio waves, right?
Yeah.
Like when they're thinking and they're able to picture his thoughts, they're communicating through radio waves, and Manusos was able to pick up that frequency because he was in his what was he in storage facility testing radio waves, looking for testing frequencies. So I think all the plurbs communicate on that signal, like on that station, right? It was we can't understand it yet, but that is how they communicate the information between each other, and that's how they share it. So you know, if you tap into the frequency, maybe that's like tapping into like a more direct communication. I don't know why it like stops it directly, but it could be like, you know, just tapping into like a more direct, because they get the signal, they get the bad feeling signal, right, and that reverberates through the radio, kind of probably like static, right, or like feedback. But if you cut in with another signal, maybe that like stops it.
Yeah,
that's better.
Or hypothetically, even if you were to put somebody like in a Faraday cage, for example, and they get no signals, I think they'll still be like a hive person, but they'll be like a one person hive.
What's a Faraday cage?
Independent.
A Faraday cage is a item or a device where it blocks all signals. Like if you put so you have small ones or big ones, whatever. But you put a phone in a Faraday cage. It's kind of like a forced airplane mode, but there's nothing, no radio, no, wireless,
Nothing
no
can
satellite,
escape.
nothing. Yeah,
nothing goes in, nothing comes out. Yeah, that's a thought. It's a thought. It's a good question, Supa. It's a good question. Because they don't explain it fully, they leave the viewer to interpret. Because the test works initially, and the convulsion stopped. So then Manuso says, "Ooh, this worked once. Let me see if it'll work again." And then he shouts at the guy. Real Kendrick Lamar energy. So we get this guy go misusing influence. We fell into a deep depression. No, we get him kind of trigger the seizure again, and then the radio frequency isn't stopping this time, but Manusos believes that eventually he continues to like tell this guy like, "Hey, I know who you are. I know your name. Like, wake up. I know you're in there." Like that, he'll gradually come out of this hive mind control. That's what Manusos is hoping for by placing the radio close to the guy, putting it under his hand. He's holding him. He's trying to whisper to him to like try to rouse him out of this mind control. And then Carol returns with a shotgun, not announcing her return, just shooting at the wall. And so while Manusos is whispering, it's a very jarring scene. We just hear a gunshot go off and blast a section of the wall away. And she's just like, get out of here. She's like, all right. So he chills out. He lets Carol have her moment. And so what happens is Zosha, alongside all members of the Hive, leave the city to protect themselves from Manusos. So clearly Manusos is getting eerily close to finding out how to fix them. And Carol decides, all right, I'm gonna leave with Zosha. I'm gonna travel alongside her. So they tour the world together. Now, during that time, the teenager that we saw from Peru that had a family that had turned and she wanted to join them gets an opportunity to join the family. She opts in to join. She opts in to do the stem cell thing. And she does change. She does become a member of the family. There's a scene where, she is taking part in like the traditions of her rural homeland, taking care of the animals. They're in the cave. The moment that she turns, the only one in the small community that hasn't turned, they all abandoned the community. They let the animals out of the
crazy
cage.
scene to me.
It was.
Now, here's
it
my
was crazy.
Here's my pluribus advocate coming through. You're walking down. Okay. Well, okay. A lot of people see this scene and say, well, this shows the sinisterness of the Hive and how it eliminates community and all that stuff, right? But I say, well, it may appear to be that way on the surface, but since they're all in their brains and they're all communicating telepathically, why do you need to physically do all the rituals and have all the symbols and stuff? Maybe they're having all the cultural stuff in their head. They're doing psychically. They're having a fun time every day. They're doing all this stuff every single day in their heads, and they just don't need to say it out loud.
That's bleak.
It's like a silent disco.
Yeah, no, they are having all the fun in their heads, so they're always smiling. Or at least what we think. At least this is what we think, they're always smiling. But like the culture is gone. The culture is dead. Because the moment that they assimilate, they have no culture. They no longer practice those things unless it would make someone else happy. So like it was a very unsettling scene.
It was.
Because the moment before she turns, there's a really cool scene of her with a goat. And her mom is like singing one of the songs that she's like heard from like her youth, and she's like petting the goat, and the goat's kind of like enjoying the warmth of this of the young girl. And she's like, "Are you scared?" And she's like, "I'm not scared. Like, I'm fine." And so she takes the goat, puts the goat down, and the goat, we can like this is a moment where like the goat is benefiting from very human interactions and human connection, right? Because the goat is being cared for, and the chick is being cared for because of that connection. The moment that she turns and the whole community leaves, she opens the gate for the cage, and hoping that the animals run out. But the goat is a beautiful scene. The goat tries to follow her because the goat is used to the human connection, but then the goat stops because she is paying that goat no mind, which is uncharacteristic of her. Will be very characteristic of the Hive, right? Fast forward to Carol and Zosha's world tour. Zosha and Carol are on a ski loft. They're relaxing, enjoying each other's company, and Carol is smiling in these scenes quite a bit. Like she seems to be finally coming to grips with like, this is what happiness feels like. This is interesting. And when she's talking to Zosha about like what happiness is and how she feels with happiness and kind of some of those moments, Zosha reveals to her, maybe accidentally, maybe on purpose, that, oh, it's going to get even better, Carol. It's going to get better, Carol. Carol's like, better? What are you talking about, Willis? What do you mean better?
Yeah, it's only the beginning.
Yo, it was wild. So then Zosha shares with Carol. So, well, hey, the teenage girl from Peru, she turned. And she's so much happier now. Like, would you like to talk to her about it? And the Carol just like, wait, like, what are you talking about? You can't change me without my express consent. She's like, that would be the case. And the Carol like, what do you mean would be? And she's like, well, she's like, do you have another way of getting my stem cells? And like, this whole scene is crazy because Zosha's saying very little. She can't lie. But she also doesn't want to say too much. And so because she's not saying anything, Carol's able to decipher things during the conversation. Carol deciphers, based on Zosha's reactions, that they actually have a way to get Carol's stem cells without her permission. And because of their ingrown nature, they are going to use those stem cells to attempt to create a concoction of the virus that they can use to turn Carol. And they got her stem cells from the eggs that were frozen during her and Helen's stay before the ice hotel scene. So now the situation has turned into, okay, she's on a timer.
Yeah.
She said, how long do I have? Right. I said, how long do I have before you all figure this out? How to create this virus specifically for me? And so she says, hey, a month probably, but like at best like 2 to 3 months. Like if it's gonna take a little bit longer, it's probably take 2 to 3 months. So now Carol comes to the realization of I can't. And Zosha says, I'm doing all this because I love you. She's like, if you love me, you wouldn't do this. No, I'm doing this because I love you. And this is my demonstration of how much I love you. I want you to become one of us because I love you. And this is where Carol realizes the truth, that the love of the hive is extremely skin deep. And so Carol, we return to Manusos in Albuquerque, trying to figure things out, right? Going through information, reading through some manuals related to like electromagnetic signals and radio frequencies. He's digging. He's going through the books. He's got a Spanish to English dictionary. He is trying to understand how all of this works. Mm-hmm. And while he's researching, he hears a helicopter. He goes outside of his house. What is that sound? So he sees a giant crate underneath the helicopter. The crate lands and ejects whatever's in the crate. And then the helicopter is Zosha and Carol. And Carol looks at Zosha. She sees Manusos in the distance. She gets out the helicopter, lets Zosha fly off. Carol looks at Manusos and says, "You win. We'll save the world." And then she begins to walk into her house. And then Manusos says, What's in the crate?" And Carol says, "An atom bomb." And then we pan out. And that is a not so brief summary.
Yeah, well,
of Pluribus.
We did have to condense 9 episodes of television into this. So I think you did very well, Gray. You did very well.
Yeah, you did. That was an excellent
Thank you.
I will say any closing thoughts on the show? Or anything extra that you want to bring up?
We kind of already mentioned it before, but I really enjoyed this watch. I got into it when it was around like episode I want to say episode 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
But like from the first one, I was very enthralled with it. It's a really interesting premise. And I think the most interesting point of it for me is the real mystery of how the hive works and how they operate.
Yeah.
Because everyone's just the same. Everyone working in unison. Everyone they always have something. It's like literally the most perfect, well-oiled machine. But the more we find out about them, the more questions that get answered, and the more we see past their like nice facade, that I'm more engaged with that. It gives me like the kind of feeling I get when I watch like shows with like where it's like someone with like a power, but that power just isn't explained. But slowly, as that person uses the power, you get to know that okay, the rules are like this, and it can only work in these like circumstances. And that's kind of how I feel like I'm like with Carol being like, okay, so the hive works like this, so that must mean that this could work. But if that doesn't work, then maybe it's something like this. So I'm very engaged, and I can't wait for the next season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a similar boat. I mean, I will say I was there. I was there episode 1.
He was
from the
a
very
day
beginning.
one listener.
I already knew it was peak. But that's just me. I have an eye for these things. I will say, this isn't a critique. I'm gonna say this is a neutral statement. It's gonna sound like a critique, but this is Vince Gilligan flexing, right? And with a massive budget, able to do whatever he wants. And I think because of that, it may not be the show for everyone. I think there's some people that say the show's too slow, right? Or it doesn't get to the point or whatever. But all of Vince Gilligan's shows, he really likes to sit in the process of doing something, right? So many Breaking Bad episodes and moments is like just having someone slowly do something mundane, like in preparation for something bigger down the line. Like you'll have a guy like intricately like putting together like something like like Walt putting together like some sort of chemistry or a weapon, or have somebody just do their job, like Mike, will just do something. He'll just do something. He'll just go out there and he'll just be doing something very slowly, very intricately, but it will lead to somewhere else. And I think this season is a lot of that. I think the biggest, the most, I would say, extraordinary example of that is The Gap, where it is not a lot of talking, a lot of like silence in different things with music, but you have a lot of bits of Jess Manusos traveling this gap, but you feel it. And I think if you can appreciate the episode, and what very importantly, don't watch it with your cell phone out, right? You got to actually watch the television show for real, right? If you pay attention, there is a lot of good filmmaking in just having Manusos go through this effort. If Manusos just went through the effort in the background, or you only caught the highlights, it wouldn't be the same. Like you wouldn't feel the strain of this, feat.
Mm-hmm.
But having like a whole episode of him trying to cross this, really, it not only shows his determination, not only puts a plot for it, gives really great characterization, and I think that is because he's able to do that. If this was on network television, I don't think he'd be able, even in the same budget, he would not be able to do that. But I think the medium he has chosen and the clout that he has gotten really allows him to do kind of everything and be slow and take his time. And I think that is a strength of the show. Even though some people might find a weakness, I think it's a strength.
Yeah, for sure. It's like one of his like most big budget television shows that he's had. And it's very mysterious. I really like it, and I deeply want to invest myself in what that mystery about how everything works and how to resolve the issue. It's such a really good show.
Yeah, I know I've been walking you all through the 9 episodes we have for season 1. But I actually also really like Pluribus. I was sharing off mic with some of my co-hosts that I was introduced to Vince Gilligan because I was never into the X-Files. So I was introduced to him through Breaking Bad. And Breaking Bad's a phenomenal show. It definitely is a show that once it catches even a small head of steam, it just never slows down, and we just find ourselves on an insane roller coaster of Walt's misadventures through just the most insane scenarios we can fathom. And he almost turns into it to a point where he seems superhuman based on what he can accomplish. And in this series, instead of the main character being the superhuman, everyone around the main character is superhuman, because they all have a collective consciousness, and she is extremely mortal, extremely human, and while an aggressor in many instances, if this hive mind decided to be less pleasant, she would find herself in a very dangerous set of circumstances. And rather than just turning dangerous, they'll just leave. They'll just be like, "Hey, man, listen, you're a threat. We'll just dip. Like, it's cool. Be a threat by yourself. We want no parts." And I did really like Carol's character. It took me a while to get there. Because at the beginning I was like, she's just annoying. She seems very one dimensional. She's just mad all the time. That's not that interesting. But she changed a lot as the story progresses, due to connections with people or lack of connections with people, or having no real people to connect to, and conflating a hive person with a real person. And it's just like so many interesting moments. Like I cannot get enough of the scene where she realizes that Zosha isn't real. That scene during the last episode was absolutely incredible, because she spent so much time and energy and thought into conflating Zosha with a real person, right? She found out what kind of ice cream, what her favorite thing to eat was, mango ice cream. And Zosha's telling the story about how, as an unturned person, she had an ice cream truck that came and brought treats from different places, and one of the special treats was this incredible flavor of ice cream, and she couldn't get out of her mind. It was her favorite thing to eat. And like, we're getting all these bits and pieces that are backstory that should add humanity to this individual, but this person does not deserve humanity because they are not who they were. But Carol so desperately wants them to be, that she so desperately craves time from a real person. And there are no real people around other than the other unturned, and many of them do not want to talk to her because she's too abrasive. She's sandpaper. They don't want to rub up against her at all. And she thinks that's odd until she meets Menusos. That's another character who's also sandpaper, who she does not want to rub up against at all. I just loved how the story was written. I love the characters. I love the full circle moments in the story. I love how everything has a point of relevance. Nothing is wasted. It's just an absolutely incredible story. Shout out to all involved. The actors,
really
set
amazing
directors,
performances.
Incredible performances, great writing, great visuals, great direction. Like, everything was very skillfully done. The budget was not wasted.
Yep.
I will. So I think we all get our thoughts out on this wonderful show, and I think it's time we give the show a bit of a rating. And now I'm gonna debut a new rating system. Okay, I've been working on. I think this is very simple. I think it'll make sense. So I'll just get into it. Would you say that Pluribus is trash, mid, or peak?
I think it's peak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're saying peak, you're talking about like just in general, not
Yeah,
like the very
yeah.
top. Yeah,
It's
I'd say
peak. Okay.
I do not want to call it mid. It is above mid for me.
No, you can say peak and trust me. Just
Peak mid.
Okay. I will call it peak for the sake of this.
and I'll also call it peak. Okay. Now it's very important. Is it low peak, mid peak, or high peak? Or I would say peak.
I'll start.
Okay.
Because I've already said this kind of. I would call this low peak.
Low peak. All right.
I would say I personally call Breaking Bad peak. It's one of the best shows that's ever been shown on television to me. This show is very good, though. The show is very, very good. But I cannot put it in the mid peak or even high or peak categories quite yet. I think as the story flushes out more, we might get there. I'm not discounting it from arriving at that point in the next season. But for me, it's low peak.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm in that similar boat where I'd say it's like low peak. Just a bit, just off the season, just off of season 1. You know, there's not anything that brings down the score too crazy for me. But like, I just want to. This is more out of like a case of I just want to see more from the show. It just needs to flesh out a bit more. But for what we got, it's great,
Flesh out more.
fantastic. But you know, for right now, it's a low peak. And it could definitely climb as more seasons come out.
Yeah, even if it was like on season 1, I'd still actually just say it's mid peak because personally, I just feel like this is like the start of something crazy that we've never seen before, even though it's season 1. So, yeah, I see potential into what the show can become.
Yeah, I would say it's mid peak for me as well. It's great television, right? It's great. It's great. It's really great television. It utilizes the medium quite well. It has fantastic performances all around, but it's not like best of the best. But usually, you don't get to be best of the best in your first season. Very few things are best of the best in the first season. I'd say, just on the top of my head, I'm thinking of television shows like Arcane season 1 might be peak season 1. But
it's crazy.
Yeah, something like that. But
Jesus.
It's very hard to get like be at the top in your first season. But right now the base is really good. I think it can only go up. So Pluribus, peak fiction, but it is in the low to mid peak range. So it is still at the top of the mountain, but it has not climbed up all the way.
We will see where we
quality assessment. I'd agree with that.
But all right, well, thank you all for stopping by for this episode. And guess what? The television is not over, folks, because next week we'll be gracing your ears with a review of Wonder Man, which I think came out today. I think it's out right now. But we will be doing a review of Wonder Man.
A couple hours ago, actually.
Yeah. All 8 episodes. And, I'm hearing good things.
I'm watching on the side.
There's a lot of glaze for Wonder Man, but I hope this isn't just, a thing where people say it's good. I feel like sometimes with the MCU, something that's just kind of good, people go, wow, greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. People have said that thing, which annoys me now. I hate when people say it's the Andor of the MCU. I've heard this is the Andor of like different things. I'm like, it never is. I've been disappointed every single time.
We've now
somebody tried to compare Secret Invasion to Andor.
Oh my god.
No,
I know, bro.
That's terrible.
I know.
Andor is now the excuse for television, as in Empire Strikes Back is the excuse for sequels.
Yeah, it's just a new thing you say. It's the X of X to be like, oh, it's like this. And
oh my gosh,
Agatha all along is the Andor of the MCU.
You have the MCU. It's like, no, it's not. It really isn't. I would say, to qualify to be the Andor of something, it's going to be a darker spin-off of a franchise that's mostly aimed at younger audiences. That's also really good. That's surprisingly good. And not just normal good.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
But like, shut up. But like Emmy-worthy good. Like, you're like, wow. That transcends the boundaries of this.
Nah, bro. John Walker killed a guy. That's pretty dark.
Oh, you're right. That's never happened before. Brand new. Whatever. That show sucks so bad. That show sucks so bad, dude. I hate that show. That show irritates me.
I
gotta change my letterbox review now.
But all right. So hopefully
it's pretty bad, but I had to.
Guess what? I like liking things, believe it or not. So
do you?
I do. I know people may believe that I don't, but actually I like liking
critics
things.
Critique, bro. What
it's
you want
just
us to
that,
do, though?
It's just that most things aren't good enough to like. It's just that's just how it is.
Them's the breaks.
And also, I guess Wonder Man will coincide with our Black History Month. So expect more melanated productions throughout the month of February.
Actually,
more melanin.
Yeah. They kill off all the black characters in like the first 10 minutes.
Hey, man.
All of them? Dang, bro.
Every single one.
Even
Every single
even
one.
the main character.
Luke Cage is gone. He
That'd be
wasn't even
sick.
supposed to be in here. And he wasn't even
Luke Cage.
But all right, we'll catch you all next week.
All right.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us,
See
everyone.
you guys.
Pluribus.